I've got more business than I can handle, and I want to help others grow their business. And number 2 is, are you ready to be a leader? I was given a quote the other day that somebody said to me that I was an Adidas leader. And I was like, what the heck is an Adidas leader mean? And it's you get out your new pair of Adidas and you're ready to run the world backward in order to make sure that your team thrives and not just survives, but thrives. You have to put yourself in a place where, people are going to rely on you. So understanding that you have to be a leader in that capacity. Do you have autonomy and systems in place? That's number 3 for me. And I think Katie will agree with me in some of these, and just saying that, we didn't do all of these things up front when we started a team.
Yeah.
So this is coming from a place when we're talking to you guys, this is coming from a place of like,
learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, 110%. Learning from our mistakes. So do you have autonomy and systems in place? Do you have that CRM? Do you have automatic lead follow-up? Do you have drip campaigns already done? Do you have growth management dashboards? Like Katie turned me on to Sisu at the end of the year. And actually, I think it was brought to her attention by Kenny, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And Kenny's in the room with us right now. So, hey, Kenny. So Sisu has been really important for us. But continuing forward with that, number 4, do you have a
let's pause real quick on the systems. I think that this is something just real quick it's probably the most important, and it is probably the most overlooked. So I would really dig deep on your systems and ensure that you've got some. Yeah. Kenny, I saw you.
Exactly.
Hey, this is a weird question. I can't figure out how to get the celebration icon, the emojis. Like, how do I make that happen?
So the party hat that Nicole has on that you and I both don't have, Anne also has it as well, is for when you're new on the app. So once you're old and boring, you no longer have a party hat, and that is me.
Okay. I literally tried to Google it like back and forth yesterday, and I couldn't figure it out. Okay, that was a nice simple answer.
Sorry, Kenny, you're no longer part of the party.
You're no longer cool. Kenny, what is your number 1 advice for starting a team? For those of you that don't know Kenny, give him a follow and then follow him on Instagram. He is a team leader out of the Bay Area of California, and they grew from 10 to over 80 plus team members in 2020 during a pandemic. So if anyone knows anything about teams and growth, it is Kenny Fast. So give him a follow. But what's your number 1 advice?
My number 1 thing this year was like building a true team culture. It's really nothing against if you guys team leaders are using like your name and your group, but it's hard to get the Lopez group to scale to a certain amount, because then the agents on the team want recognition. And now that we're constantly talking about agent-centric companies, like Nicole, you're with Side, but you're powered by Side, but everyone knows you as the true Houston team or shop or the moving detectives. If you're giving agents the opportunity to brand themselves, you're going to grow much faster. Just like how you guys are trying to distinguish yourself away from the company like Coldwell Banker or Side, but not you still work alongside them, but you're running your own brand. I think team leaders need to look step forward and constantly see how they can groom team members and grow their own brand. Because recently, just in the last 2 weeks, we've actually picked up 3 other team members from other teams that are doing like between 15 and 20 deals a year, and it just so happens those team leaders, the name of the teams was the name of the team leader. So it's we're getting good talent, and we're not running ourselves like a team. We're kind of powering up our team members by they're part of our team, but they're the showcase, not us or not me, not the team leader.
And I love that you brought that up, Kenny, because I think that goes into like the number 1 thing, like, are you starting for the right reason? And when you have agents that come in and build a team underneath you, it's not always about ego. And that was one of the things that was really, that was a hard lesson for me to learn. When I started, I was like, I'm super cool, and I'm running this great team.
You're still really cool, Nicole.
Hey.
I also agree.
I'm only cool sometimes, but I think a lot of that, the thing that's hard for agents that are joining teams to swallow is to go in under somebody else's name because they want to build brand recognition in themselves. And a lot of that like lends to ego. And I think Casey did a phenomenal job, and Kenny, you as well, of creating a team that embodies a culture that's not about one person, it's about everyone.
Yeah, I totally agree. Anne, did you have a question?
I was just going to ask when y'all were talking about Sisu, because I'm just building a team. I'm just starting as of the first of this year, and I'm always looking for a better system. So can you just explain real quick what Sisu is?
Yeah, so for those of you that don't have it or know about it, basically Sisu is everything to track for your business. It is kind of pricey. So depending on how you're going to track and have agent accountability, I don't know if this would necessarily be the best thing to hop into right away. Nicole and I both took a while before we used it, but it tracks all of your transactions and, pending transactions, forecasted transactions, things like that, volume, commissions, and everything. But then it also tracks for your agents, number of dials, text messages, email sent, DMs, prospecting time, showings, consultations, listing and buyer agreements, things like that. So we even have it all the way down to meditation, exercise, reading, and personal objectives that our team members have. But it's just a way for us to have accountability as well as challenges. So by that, I mean like contests. So we have sales contests and challenges on a pretty regular basis, and we track them through Sisu. And Kenny or Nicole, if there's anything else y'all want to add, I know we all use it a little differently.
Yeah, I mean, for me, one of the things that I really enjoy about Sisu that we're really excited to get into this year is really the implementation with SkySlope. So if you have a SkySlope as a transaction management software, that will work congruently with Sisu. And so since we were already using SkySlope, it's just going to be a very easy transition for us to combine those two processes. But it's really neat to walk in and have this really easy to understand dashboard for team leaders for their entire business. And another thing that I really like about Sisu is the fact that you can track conversion rates. So you can see appointments set versus appointments kept versus those conversions into listing or buyer agreements. And then of course, into closed transactions, it kind of funnels it down for you. So you don't have to sit there and do the math or plug into spreadsheets. As long as your agents are importing the appropriate data, or your TC or your admin is importing that data, the program will work for you. And then also, if anybody from Sisu is listening, you can send your check to my office.
That is wonderful information. Thank you.
One other thing too, just to piggyback on what Nicole said, is I think that it's also good to be able to train to the gaps. Hey, Frank, if you could mute your mic down in the bottom right-hand corner, that would be great. Getting a little bit of feedback.
Apologies, yeah, of course.
Frank, the CEO of Sisu, how do you guys take Frank into the room so fast?
I don't know. I think Nicole, his ears were burning. But no, one thing that I
asked for a check.
he's like, we will not be sending you a check. Please stop. Sorry. Anyways, my thing that I like about Sisu and about the agent accountability is that we're able then to train to the gap. So as Nicole said, we can see where we have, conversion and what numbers we want it to be at. So once you get some good data in Sisu, you can then see, how your agents are converting. So if they're making lots of phone calls, but not getting any appointments, then maybe we need to talk about what they're saying on the phone. If they have lots of appointments, but aren't setting any actually writing any contracts, then perhaps it's something that they're saying when they're out on tour. So it really helps us to be able to train to the gaps for our clients.
All I heard was that there was a Venmo coming, so I'm just joking. Yes, so that's been a really powerful point of data for us, especially going into 2021, starting fresh with the new program and software, and having that dashboard be beautiful and not have to import old information It's been really great for us. So that has been one of the big programs for us. And Katie, I know that you're a user of Follow Up Boss for your CRM, right? Still.
We are, yes.
Awesome. So that's been a really great transition for us too. We were using Copper, which was the side provided CRM, but we migrated back over to Follow Up Boss. And so we were talking about before we went into the programs and systems, and Katie, you can stop me at any time. We were talking about autonomy and systems and also having a plan for expansion and hiring. I think we do have one person that's up here with us that has a question though. George, did you have a question for us?
Yeah, just curious, how do you spell the CRM?
Oh, for
SISU.co. So it's Sisu, and then their website is sisu.co. SISU. And Frank is actually the top left-hand corner. If you click on his picture, you can link up to their Instagram, and they have all their info in there too.
Yeah, I think Frank wants to hop on and say something real quick.
Nothing more than we appreciate it. Just here to listen and appreciate. Love to watch Katie's Instagram stories where she's kind of taking shots of her dashboard. It's been really cool. And thank you, Nicole. Just here to listen, and if there's any questions that we can answer for you about the system and CRMs we integrate with and what we have planned upcoming, let me know. But I'd love more so just to hear customers talk about it, good and bad, rather than a person that works for CC. But that's all. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Nicole, you want to move on to number, I guess, either 4 or 5?
Yeah. So number 4, do you have a plan for expansion and hiring? And for us, you know, we went backwards before we went forwards. You know, I had buyer's agents before I had an admin. And so just making sure that you are hiring the right people at the right time, I think is really important. Making sure that you have, I know for Katie, one of the big things that you do is disc profiling everybody that you bring on. We do the exact same thing. And so making sure that, you know, the agents that you are bringing in fit the disc profile for the role that they're in. Like my admin is a high SC, right? Like she gets everything done. She loves paperwork. She loves organization. Whereas I'm more like a tornado that's went off in a room. What about you, Katie?
I'm weird. I'm really weird. I'm a D and I'm a C. So I like things to be super organized, but I'm very blunt and I need things to be done yesterday.
Yeah, I'm definitely a DI. Hey, Ethan, did you have something that you wanted to ask? Okay, we will move forward.
Sorry,
So
this is my first time talking on the yeah. I was like, where's the mute button here? Yeah, what are you looking for? I run a team of 12 in Boston, and we used to do the Myers-Briggs or 16personalities.com is based on, it's like a free version to get the Myers-Briggs results. What do you look for in your DISC personality or Myers-Briggs in terms of like the letters? And do you ever do like a mix of introverted and extroverted members of your team, or how do you figure that out?
Yeah, so Katie, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I'll go into, do you want to talk about salespeople or do you want to talk about admin? And we can take.
Yeah, for sales.
Okay. So yeah, and I'll talk about it a little bit. So for those of you that don't know, D is the driver. And I think there's a few different ways in which people kind of explain things, but this is how I explain it. So D is the driver. So these are the people that, you know, need things done ASAP. I is, what's the word that people use for it, Nicole? I always describe it as the look at me, but what's the Life of the party.
I honestly, I can't remember what the I is.
Anyways, so I is life of the party. Look at me. S are the people that really care, amiable, that they want everyone to be happy. And C are the detail-oriented people that are accountants, engineers, and those types of careers. So for salespeople, I always look for an IS. I do want some D because I need them to get things done, but I don't want their D to be higher than my D. So in situations in which we've hired outside of that, we then kind of see that we butt heads on the way things that should be done. Because I think the higher your D is, the more you think that the way that you're doing it's going to be the right way. And our team has systems and process and things like that. For admins, you normally want an SC. So as Nicole said, she likes to Tasmanian devil her office with ideas and excitement. So she needs someone that's going to be caring and want to help her, and also keep all of the ducks in a row and I's dotted and T's crossed and such. So like in a very simple sense, that's the way. Some of the more detailed disc profiles will have certain word sketches and things like that, but that's kind of my higher level. Nicole, do you have anything else to add?
No, that is exactly the same way that I hire. So no one in the room can have a bigger D than me. So just like what Katie said, I'll just say it slightly more inappropriately.
How much D is too much D?
Well, I'm 99%.
Zillow killer in the house. What's up, James?
Of course, that's where James would come in.
I'm a 99 D, 99 I, so you guys are taking a left with the D. I just came to hang out with you guys. I seen Kenny, I seen Nicole, I seen you guys. Me and Kate been chilling the last couple of days, but I'm just here to hang out with you guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've definitely been tuning into a bunch of the content that you have been putting on. Also, James is one of those people that definitely, if you guys are not following him and his content and his social media strategies and how he's acclimating to all of the new things that are happening in digital media, you definitely have to give him a follow. Definitely some valuable knowledge being dropped in his group. So awesome to have you.
I like the Zillow killer. That's a nice little hashtag.
Yeah, follow him. We'll get into the story later. Nicole, what's number 5 on your list?
Yeah. How will you train and onboard? And I think for Katie, this was something, and myself too, this is definitely something that we went backwards before we went forwards on. We were bringing agents in and we were letting them, we were doing some training, but we weren't making sure that everything was as consistent and cohesive according to the brand and according to culture and according to the standards that we have. And so we actually just started True Launch, which is our new agent training program, just to make sure that everybody is handling leads and handling clients and is knowledgeable in all of the areas that we want them to. Katie, how are you setting yours up?
Well, and I think what's funny is between you, me, and Kenny, I think we all collaboratively made very similar programs that we all kind of are indeed from each other to some extent. Because I know I saw some stuff that Kenny was doing. I was like, oh, I need to add that into mine. And same with Nicole. I was like, oh, she's doing this.
Class curriculum. I had something in UFC for it. Maybe a month later, I saw you have something really cool. I was like, hey, well, let me get that. I was like, oh, I got it from you. And then I saw Nicole had something. I was like, wait, all this kind of looks the same now, but in their own different shapes and form. So kind of indirectly collaborated on it.
Yeah, but
we just basically asked for each other's information and then we tweaked it and made it our own. But it's really cool because it's a very immersive training experience. And so I would encourage anybody, if you guys, obviously it's each of ours are going to be proprietary to our own independent brokerages, but I'm willing to share that. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, you can follow me on Instagram and shoot me a message, and I have no problem sending you the breakdown of everything that we train on.
Yeah, and to circle back to your original question, we also do a new agent training program. So when we have agents that do not have transactional experience, we have a 30-day training program where we kind of go A to Z on personal marketing and branding and budgeting to closing a deal. So, and everything in between. Real quick, John just came up on stage. Do you have a question or comment or something to add?
join the conversation with you guys and add some value, and hopefully I could give some value to some questions that are here. I've been able to help over 10,000 agents the last 3 years, as well as I run a mastermind where we got guys that are doing 700 to 1,500 transactions. So just hopefully adding some value to you guys, and if I could do anything for you, anybody, just let me know.
Okay, awesome. Nicole, what's the next bullet point? Trying to keep us a little bit on track.
I'm gonna run.
All right.
Thanks for hosting.
Thanks, Kenny.
Number 6, are you ready to delegate? That was a hard thing for me to let go in the first couple of years, was being able to let the autonomy of a team kind of take hold and be able to not be in control of every transaction all the time. I think as high Ds, we have this need to have complete control of a situation. And so those of us with high Ds, it's difficult to allow us to either one, be okay with having help, like through an admin or through marketing professionals, and then trusting that they're going to get it done. So being able and ready to delegate. Number 7 is, how will you maintain accountability and production? And so that kind of goes back in, it ties into number 3 with systems. Just making sure that you're there to be a coach and a mentor, and you're able to keep them accountable for their goals. I mean, I have one agent on the team who is now our team trainer, and she's going to be opening up a second location of True here in a couple of months. And, she's grown her production from 2.5 million to over 8 million because she let me hold her accountable. So that has been huge. What about for you, Katie? Outside of Sisu, how do you kind of work with holding your agents accountable?
Sisu has been great. I think that one of the things that we also do is we have monthly kind of reviews. So each month we'll print out the dashboard in Sisu, and we kind of go over, how many calls, their conversion ratios. We go over, different things like that, and kind of review their production, how they feel about it, how we feel about it, and areas of improvement. So that's something that it's not only, for us to kind of review their month, but also for them to give feedback on things that we could be doing better. So like one of the things that came from reviews last year was like that we weren't doing enough regular training. So now every Wednesday from 12 to 1, we're doing training on different topics. So this week we sat down for an hour right before this, which it ran a little over, and talked about marketing and different things that they should be doing and how to best, schedule out their marketing for the month and for the week. And we're going to be going over everything from contracts to contract updates to, more fun stuff that's not contracts that I can't think of right now. But it came from an agent just being like, hey, I feel like we need to meet more and talk about things, as opposed to just like, hey, this was a problem and, we need to figure it out. And I actually took this from Nicole, and I feel like I'm rambling, but I took this from Nicole, is like, we're now recording all of our training that we're doing and uploading it into our internal drive, so that the team has something to go back to. And then as we have more team members join, eventually we're going to have an onboarding course that's all online. So as opposed to sitting down and me or a team trainer or someone like that spending, up to 15 hours a week training, there will be still obviously in-person training, but it'll also, a lot of it will be online as well. So it's something that, in order to try to better maximize our time.
Hey guys, do you mind if I add some value to this?
Yeah.
So just kind of like structure-wise, right? For anybody that's listening, a few quick tips. One is my agents. We got to figure out what it is, and we could dive into that it versus, hey, you said you wanted to make 100,000. Instead, talk about, hey, you said you want to make 100,000 because, and really hold them accountable to that why. That's going to drive them to create more action. And so the way I was reframe it is, hey, look, you said you want to make $100,000. We decided it's going to take $300 a week, whatever that looks like. And it looks like you're only doing about 100 a week. So either has the goal changed, that you don't want to buy that house for your family and create those roots, or do I, as a leader, need to do something different to help you get to those 300 dials? When you pose that question, most of the time, the goal hasn't changed. They just haven't asked for the help or even know where to start. And that's when we come in as a leader and help them. Number two is pods. So, we've seen a lot of big teams. Now, it's a small team. But if you have a big team, setting up pods of 3 or 4 or 5 agents, creating those pods have competition with the other pods. There's a text chain going on. And then we're big in role play, right? So we always say, if you want to increase your pay, increase your role play. So we have the pods role playing 3 times a week. And it's just that structure system we talked about. And then lastly, and I think it was you, Katie, talking about putting those trainings online. There's something called Tranual, which I don't know if you guys have talked about yet. But Tranual, you could put that on there and just have that as a system. Whenever you hire somebody new, they go through the Tranual process, and that's where you host all the videos. So that's just a tool that you guys could use to put everything online. Hopefully that helps.
Awesome. No, that's really great. Thank you for that info. Nicole, what do you have for number? I don't know what number you're on.
Yeah, I'm on number 8. This is like the last one, you guys. And then of course, like I know Katie and I will go over like all the things that we did wrong.
Oh God, I don't think we have enough time for that, but
we'll go through some stuff. So number 8, and this is probably the most important when you are creating a team or a team-based brokerage, is what culture do you want to create? And in setting that up, I mean, we are fun, we are vibrant, we are funky, we work hard. Of course, just like I said before, I'm a tornado that has gone off in terms of all of the things that we have going on all at one time, which is really fun. But also making sure that all the agents with the different profiles and personalities can feel comfortable in what you are creating, and that everyone is cohesive and everyone gels together. One of the things that we do before we bring on an agent full time, of course, like this is after the training, is we invite them to a lunch with the entire team. And I really do take my agents' perspectives and comments and concerns sometimes about the new agents. I take those into really high consideration because I want to make sure that we're a tight-knit group. Like my team is my family, and I spend more time with them sometimes than I do my own family. And so making sure that we can all gel together is huge. What about you, Katie?
Yeah, I love that. We also have, so any prospective team members come in and meet with the entire team. And if someone says no and, has a good reason why, then it's a no, right? So I think we have a really good culture. I really love everyone on the team. So, we don't want to mess that up because it's really cool. And I feel like, if someone comes in and they're a bad apple, it's going to bring down productivity for everyone. One other thing that I wanted to circle back to, Nicole, that you said is delegation. And I think the biggest thing that anyone has in hiring an admin, starting a team, is they don't think that anyone can do it better than them. You say something?
No one can do it better than me, Katie.
No, I know. I mean, obviously, but no, everyone thinks that they can't, I'm so good at this. I'm the best at this, whatever it may be. And we hired a transaction coordinator that is better than me. I know that I'm good at filling out a contract. I know that I'm good with paperwork. I know that I love spreadsheets, but she's better than me. So it's knowing that my highest and best use of time is talking to other agents, is talking to prospective team members and talking to sellers. It's not filling out contracts. It's not dealing with spreadsheets. It's not, copy pasting, I don't know what. So understanding that, and for those that say oh, I like paperwork, or I like this, or my clients want me. And I know Nicole coached with Workman for a little while, but Verl Workman with Workman Success Systems says they don't want you, or they don't have to work with you. They want a house, and you're the vehicle to get them there, right? So once you can kind of take you out of it and realize that, the process can be better served with a group of people around you, you'll be able to really increase your income and productivity.
Yeah, for sure, Katie. I definitely love that quote from Verl. He's definitely has a wealth of knowledge. And we're the vehicle to get from point A to point B, which is to get those clients into that home. One of the bonus tips that I had on my list of things for today was doing the math on your expenses. And knowing what your profitability ratio is on how much you're spending on your team. And that was one thing that I really had to dial back in on towards the end of this year, was like, holy crap, like I'm spending a lot of money. And just to give you guys an idea, my team per month, the expense when I'm buying leads or office space, or it could be, I mean, really anything, systems is roughly 17, and I run a pretty small team, is $17,000 to $20,000 a month. And so making sure that that revenue is there in order to not only put myself in jeopardy, but be able to provide the best experience for my agents and making sure that they have all the tools and necessities that they need. So do the math on your expenses, really spend time with your CPA, figuring all of that out. And before you invest or commit to new products, new systems, new tools, definitely work with either your coach. If you've got a great coach, I know Katie, you're coached by Tom Ferry. I'm coached by Platinum Coaching Group. Run it through your coach, run it through your spreadsheets when it comes to your budget and your finances, and make sure that if you commit to it, that it's going to bring a positive ROI for your team.
1,000%. And that's, reviewing that on a regular basis too. We look over expenses every month to see if there's ways we can trim the fat, because fewer expenses means more money in your bottom line. So I know, Nicole, I so appreciate you. You're like the best. I thought we were just gonna come up here and like shoot the shit. And I love that you had like awesome stuff planned out and some thoughts written down. If you guys haven't already followed her, click her profile, hit follow in the top right-hand corner. If y'all have any questions, we've got a few more minutes before we need to hop off. Please feel free to raise your hand. Speaking of systems, I think that this is
call action.
Yeah, here we go. Nicole can speak to this better than I.
Hey, okay, so before Jesse pops on, he has a really great tech tool called Call Action. It's a fantastic platform when it comes to lead follow-up, and it does so much more than that, you guys. Like, there's text codes for mailers, there's text codes for flyers. You can set up automations. I mean, we've got one that Jesse helped me set up that is like 35 or like 40 touch points long. And it really does help with conversion. And a lot of this is AI, and there's automated. When we spoke about automation earlier, like, this guy is the king of setting up automation when it comes to touching your leads and your past clients and your dead leads and everything else. So Jesse, I'll let you hop on.
Jesse, my big brother. Hey, thanks for the kind words. But this actually is a question for both you and Katie here. So, you're on a panel about building a real estate team. Can you maybe share some, tactics that you're currently using to try and recruit? Are you doing it purely by attraction, or are you doing it by outreach? And I think if we could share some tips, that would be awesome.
Nicole, do you want to go first? Because I know you've had massive growth over the past year.
Yeah. I mean, when we launched the brand, we had essentially 100% turnover. We were with another large brokerage that was really well known and very fancy and very flashy in our market. And, they did a really good job of making themselves seem as if, without them, your business would not survive. So unfortunately, I lost a lot of my talent base. And so I really had to start from ground zero. And so a lot of it has been personal outreach. A lot of it has been word of mouth, and then also through word of mouth of my agents. I mean, I really feel like the agents that you have on your team are the 100% the best source of quality referrals, because they see the growth that happens with the agents that are on your team. For example, I have Marie, who's gone from 2 to 8 million in 1 year. And people notice that. They notice that change about her. They see that she's hustling and she's busting her ass and she's doing all the things that she should be doing in order to be successful. And they're like, wow, like what has happened to you? And so that's really been huge for us. I know, Jesse, that I'm sure that there are some ways that I can incorporate call action with my recruiting efforts. And I'll ping you offline about that in a little bit, because that just kind of like stirred some stuff up in my brain.
Oh yeah.
So what about you, Katie?
Yeah. So I mean, we've done a combination of things, but all of the best hires that we've had have been either, you know, personal connections, right? So like, as Nicole said, right, as people increase their productivity, increase their income and production, you know, it attracts, you know, their friends or their colleagues or people that they've done deals with. So, you know, we've run ads and we've done, you know, the resume thing and all that, but the most of the people have reached out to us have been the most successful.
Awesome. That's cool. You know, just what I know from Nicole, because I know Nicole for a while here, you know, I think her presence and all of that stuff, she has kind of this, she's able to attract people to her just because of your outgoing personality, great branding, and all those kind of things. And, you know, I wanted to see your take, and I'm sure James here probably has some ideas in terms of like, how can you amplify that? Because as someone who works with a bunch of different teams, I always hear, you know, the recruiting is the biggest issue. There's some trainers out there that are, you know, that are coaching basically, if you're bringing people in, like that solves all problems. So James, do you have some idea, like how can we attract agents basically to a team, you know, if the brand and everything else is well put together, like what Katie and Nicole have here?
Well, I think that the best examples of Nicole and Katie, I've watched and seen the progression from the team, the transitions. I mean, me and Nicole have been on late night talks about her transitions. But again, it all falls back to just recognizing just the intimacy play, right? Most people want to work with people that they can at least connect with, and agents are looking for that leadership quality. And it's always interesting how brokers and team leaders have a way of separating themselves, but they still want people to know who they are, right? It's just a weird thing for me. And that same intimacy play, you guys are putting out, if you're going to spend money, the recruiting campaigns that we build all play heavy in the intimacy side of them knowing who you are, first and foremost. Like, who is Katie? Who is Nicole? And I mean, you know, from Katie and Nicole, yes, they're very pretty, dope personality, but you have other agents that some people or some guys, let's use men for the sake of argument, are very analytical, right? Some people want that, right? So before you can even quietly tell people that, you know, me, I'm not a fan of spending money until you start to build up some audience and to get some traction in the sense of are people even listening? If you're putting out valuable components and reference to content that's of value to the industry that you can really help, you know, I mean, there's a lot of agents that, you know, they come inside this industry in year one, and we get that false narrative of, oh, your first year is going to be hard. That's not true, right? It doesn't have to be hard. The problem is they don't have a clear understanding of what needs to get done. And then we have other agents that just. So, I mean, at the end of the day, when you guys are going to if you're going to think about recruiting, the very first component you guys want to lean into is let the industry or your market, in reference to the agents you're trying to attract, know who you are. That's the fastest way to get that wheel going. And then you can get to the features and the bells and whistles, right? Because the features is secondary. You can talk. Most brokers offer the same thing, but very few brokers move the way Nicole. So I can tell you that for a fact. I mean, you don't get that intimacy play that Kate and Nicole. And I can only speak on those two. Like I said, I've seen right now we're servicing close to 300 plus real estate teams and brokerages, and some of these people I talk to, I'm like, yeah, I can't make sense of how you're doing this, but that's not none of my business. But these two, I know for a fact, they're great examples. If you just want to watch and see how they're moving, they play, whether they're doing it intentional or not, very heavy in the intimacy side. And maybe if they didn't know it, now they know. You guys play very heavy in the intimate, in the that level of people knowing who the heck you are. And that's the very first part of recruiting. You can spend and talk about all your bells and whistles all day, but until you get people to know that you know, it's the same concept. Like, do you even care, right? And I know that sounds simplistic, but that's intimacy. That's the game. because every brokerage can offer this exact same type of feature. So before you guys throw up and think you can just pay your way in the recruiting side, that ain't gonna happen. You start out with building that intimacy component, giving value in the sense of how you're different. I know Peter Lamar out in Beverly Hills had something really cool. If you guys look him up, he had this really cool video he did one time where he was given the difference between boutique brokerages and big box brokerages. And he didn't speak bad on it, but he gave a very clear perspective on what's the difference. So now a person can make a real decisive decision. Do I want to be at this big thing, or do I want to be at something more small, more compressed, that's still doing numbers? You know, just that level of clarity. But intimacy is going to be key. And like I say, you know me, I just live in the manifesto of the internet, where it's all about resonating, omnipresence, and intimacy. So you guys can remember that and not be scared of video, because you guys got to put yourself out there. You got to have to give some context. I don't think you're going to be able to sell. I think you guys know you're not going to be able to oversell agents into all your features, because every brokerage has features. But I can assure you, every brokerage don't move with the same feature components or a connection like Nicole has.
Yeah, and that's a really good segue into some of the training that I've done with a couple of my agents who are actually going out and recruiting for me, is getting away from the feature benefit dump of the brokerage and really getting more interested and in tune to what that agent needs, what is their why, and then figuring out how your brokerage or your team can benefit them, rather than it just be like, hey, we've got this automation and we've got this platform and we have this CRM and this is how many leads a month. The leads don't mean anything unless the agent knows how to convert them and they're trained appropriately. So it's, you know, we offer you this training so you can have this conversion rate, and that way you can close this many transactions. And you know what? You said going to Disney was really important to your family in 2021. So we're going to get you to Disney with your family, and that's going to be your why for this year. And I think once you move past the feature benefit and you get into the agent why, kind of like what you were talking about, James, I think that's been a game changer for us. But I think, Wally, you had a question. What you got, sir?
Oh, hey guys, how you doing? I'm getting near late. I know you guys were here earlier. I had some stuff going on. You guys already talked about the importance of core values and culture in the hiring process. Both of those.
Yes, we did. So
you did? Okay.
We spoke on culture, not so much core values, but I do think that's really important when you establish or create what it is that you're going to be doing within your team or your brokerage. And knowing that's huge, and it's so fundamental to setting up a really successful foundation, and just in making sure that not only are they core values that align with you, but core values that align with everyone on your team. And there's this really awesome program that I had the opportunity to be a part of, and I know Katie did too. It's called TRLP, and it's for agents in Texas. It's a Texas Realtors Leadership Program. And there's a couple of different states that have their own programs, but we were given this really great deck of cards. And there was over 60 core values on it. And I had each agent go through this deck of cards and then select 10, and then narrow it to 8, and then narrow it to 4, then narrow it to 2. And then they brought those 2, each agent, after they had gone through this deck of cards, brought me what their 2 were. And then we sat down together as a team. And then we went through everyone's top 2. And then we decided upon what were going to be the core values for us, for the team, for the brokerage. And so it's been really important to me to make sure that everyone's values and things that they held near and dear to them were represented in the brokerage as well.
Nice. Yeah, and the key ingredient here is that if you don't have a team, excuse me, a lot of people, I think, like when you're building your business, you have to think of it like you're the CEO of Pepsi or Coke or any other company. And so you've got to have things already in place before people come to work with you. So you should have core values in line. You should have your strategy taken care of. You should have your culture, what you want your culture to look like. You should have that all squared away, because you don't want people showing up and working with you the first day and make it look like you just figured it out for yourself. So If you don't have a team yet, then you really need to obviously put culture in place. And you know what your core values are. The other thing is that if you do have a team, what Nicole said is perfect, and I love that. I'm in Texas, never heard of that, though. That's cool. So I love that exercise. I think that's amazing. You need to get everybody's buy-in. At the end of the day, though, they have to be your core values first and foremost, with other people accepting them and having some input, because the buck stops with you, right? So, but one thing I just wanted to bring up is that here's the thing, core values are the belief systems or the values or whatever you want to call them, by which you hire people, you manage people, and you fire them, right? Because otherwise, if you bring people on board that are not good for core value fits and they're not good for your culture, then your business is screwed. And I think a lot of people want to hire people that they know. A lot of people want to hire relatives and friends and stuff like that. And it's probably the worst mistake you can make. So I think and I love what you shared about core values, and thank you. So just make sure, and you can Google corporate core values, and you'll get 3.9 million results. And I think an ideal number is somewhere between 6 and 10. And some of them have to be about your organization, and some of them should be outside, how you treat your clients. And then just make sure that, anybody that comes to the door they can't not agree with one, and they've got to be a perfect culture fit. And that's really going to allow you to build a great team that has amazing retention. So I just want to share that.
Oh, I appreciate that.
What's up, James?
I'm sorry, you guys.
No, James and I go way back, right?
All good. All good, James. Yep.
Sorry.
Before James started screaming over here. No, but yeah, I completely agree with the core values. It's something that we have on our website. It's something that we talk about in team meetings. We talk about, ways in which we felt we, showed integrity, or ways in which, our professionalism may have been challenged, or things like that. So I mean, it's definitely something that we, want to be part of the conversation on a very regular basis. So just a little housekeeping note. I know Nicole has a meeting a little bit, as do I. So we are going to end the room in about 5 minutes. So if anyone does have any questions, if you're thinking about starting a team, please raise your hand. We would love to chat or answer them. I think Nicole made a comment earlier, if we want to talk real quick about mistakes. Nicole made a comment earlier about putting the cart before the horse a little bit and growing before having all of the structure maybe necessary. I know that my coach told me to hire an admin and really organize my business. And I said, well, what about a buyer's agent? And she said, no, you need to hire an admin. And I said, okay. And I hired a buyer's agent. It went fine, but your first hire, if it's not a business coach, it should be a business coach, should be an admin to help you get your business super organized, systematized, all of the CRMs, all of the things, so that you're ready to continue to grow and scale. So that's just something, my 2 cents on building a team, because it's something that I did not do. Nico, what is up?
Hey, Katie, how you doing?
Good. What's going on?
All right, so I'm kind of in the midst of building a team. I have an admin, a transaction coordinator. I have showing agents, and I'm helping actually a couple of people going through real estate school. And then after that, I might bring them in as buyer's agents. But what I'm finding my difficulties is, once I really kind of build my team, is on the splits. What is appropriate split to give? And then at that split, what are they expecting as far as leads? Like my idea was doing 60-40 if I give the lead, and 40-60 if they have their own lead. Is that too aggressive of a split, or is that not enough? What is the right combination?
Nicole, you want to go?
I really think it depends on your offering. What are you offering your agents in order to accommodate for that split? I'll be very transparent with you. We're a 60-40, and we're a 60-40.
Who gets 60?
On all. The agent gets 60.
Yeah.
I take 40. And we're that on all transactions, regardless of where the lead comes from. And so I want to make sure that at the end of the day, my agents are happy. They're making money. I mean, there are a lot of options in Houston for them to lay their hat with in terms of brokerage. I think right now there are 3,700 licensed brokers.
I think we're at 42.
Oh, 4,200.
No, 42,000. Oh, brokers, my bad.
Yeah,
brokers.
Yeah, I think there's 3,700 brokers, but 42,000 agents, right? And so you can like throw a rock into a crowd and hit like 5 realtors in the city of Houston. So that's always fun. But I think it depends on your offering. I think it depends a lot on your culture. I think it depends on your agent buy-in. I think it depends on there's a lot of factors that can negate what your split is. How many leads are you handing out? What's the conversion ratio of those leads? I think a lot of it is testing the market and figuring out what the agents are accepting of. What market are you in, Nico?
I'm in North Jersey, New York City.
Okay. Katie, do you have any advice on that?
Yeah, well, the other thing that I was going to add to that, and Nicole said it, but I just want to kind of reiterate, is that I'm a proponent of having the same split, whether it's your lead or my lead. I don't want you to pay more attention to your leads than you do mine, because I, give some of my past clients in Sphere to my buyer's agents to work, right? So like, I want them to be taken care of just as well. So if they have a little bit lower of a split, my concern would be that they would put more emphasis on their own leads. And I think, depending on what, as Nicole was saying, depending on what your offering is to the agents on your team, if you're going to give them full access to the admin team that you already have, and they won't have to write offers and all they do is show homes and go on listing appointments and they don't have to spend the time doing that paperwork, then you probably should have more money in your pocket than theirs. So it just depends on kind of what you're spending. And as Nicole said, really looking at your expenses and making sure that it's profitable. Because if you're offering, say, a 50-50 split, but your expenses are $50,000 a month, you're probably not going to be making much money. So always keep an eye on expenses.
Unless you have 500 agents.
Well, my mistake. Yeah, true.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, and have a blessed day.
Yeah, for sure. You too. I know we've got one more question.
I have actually one more question. I'll make it real quick. I've been I was thinking about kind of using my showing agents and bringing them in as buyer's agents. Is that a good formula, or should I just get they're good as a buyer's agent, just use them as a buyer's agent before a showing agent?
I think it depends on their disc profile. Like a lot of times people will bring in people as their assistant and try to make them a buyer's agent. And as we said, like someone that is an assistant is good and they have an SC personality, and a buyer's agent should be IS or DIS. So if they want to be an agent, I think that's fine. But you just need to be very clear about the expectations and the timeline in which all of that will happen, and provide good training.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Katie. Nicole, have a wonderful day.
You too. All right. Do we have time for one more question, Katie?
For sure.
All right, Jules.
Hey, Nicole and Katie, thank you so much. I started the team in February of this year. It's grown to 4 agents. I have a transaction coordinator, and I do have a coach. Quickly bringing on more agents, and I was wondering if you have material, or if anyone has material on how I could either shift my transaction coordinator into an admin role or add that for future agents as well, and what their roles are defined as and what they do.
Yeah, so currently right now, my TC does run a lot of our admin work. And we're going to be modifying that role for our team this year. My admin my TC has been blessed to have business with a couple of other side partners. I'm a side branded team-based brokerage. So for those of you guys who weren't on here earlier, Side really takes care of all of the back end for me. That guys, my personal TC was taken on as a side TC, and so now she's splitting roles and responsibilities with other teams. And while that's great for her, I needed somebody to pick up my bottom line. So I'm actually going through today and writing down the roles and responsibilities that I want the admin to have, and the roles and responsibilities that I want the TC to have. Katie, what do you have on it?
Yeah, for sure. So we initially had tried to hire someone that was just an admin, TC, marketing coordinator, all of the things. We generally sell between 10 to 12 or 15 to 20 homes a month. So it was a lot for a person to try to post everything on social, make sure, the agents had the right marketing support and admin and stuff that they needed. So we have a full-time transaction coordinator. And then we also have a full-time marketing coordinator that kind of is the client care coordinator / personal assistant / marketing guru and all of the things. So we've divided out into 2 roles, and really, the marketing coordinator is a lot more creative. The transaction coordinator is super detail oriented. So they're really great in their roles, and it's been super successful since we split those roles up into 2 different ones.
Awesome. And I think too, when you're just getting started, like you had said, you just started the team this year. I think trying to keep it, compact and concise. I mean, I've been a team leader now for 5 years, and we're just now, I think 5 years, 5-6 years, and we're just now splitting those roles up. And so if you can find you someone who is worth the pay and worth the keep, and they can manage both sides of transaction coordination and administrative, definitely do that for now.
Yeah, thank you. That's what my thought was. She's an absolute rock star, and I think moving her into both roles and then increasing that pay is what I want to do. I wanted to get your take on if you have 1 or 2 do that. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's something too, that if you have someone that's doing everything, that's like your future operations director, right? Like that's someone that is going to continue to grow with you and help to manage the culture and everything for the team. So
that was my thought too, in the future, just a much larger role for her. Thank you.
Cool. Well, it is 2:05. I know I need to run, and I want to be aware of everyone's time. So I really appreciate you guys joining us today. If you have any questions on anything we said, again, both Nicole and my Clubhouse bios have our Instagram and Twitters linked up. I will tweet you, but I would prefer to Instagram you. So if you have any questions, please DM me. I would assume Nicole feels the same way. Nicole, you have anything else to add?
No, I mean, really, that's it. This has been a really fun experience. Katie, thank you so much for having me. Happy to share knowledge. Like Katie said, we're open books when it comes to sharing our knowledge and our expertise with everyone. So like Katie said, I really encourage you guys to give us a follow, not only on Clubhouse, but on Instagram. And if you guys want any further conversation on anything that we spoke about today, I know either of us would be happy to help. So thanks, Katie.
All right, guys, have a great day.
Bye.
Keep crushing it.